Novelty, fantasy, north-south. Fantasy versus realism, and exploration versus building. It's weird that exploration and building are opposed to each other, but I can tell you in my test they seem to be. There are people who want to do both. I'm not saying that the extremes are all that matter. In fact, each of these is a bell-shaped curve of distribution across the population, okay? So most of the people are going to be kind of in the middle. But the people who have stronger scores, like on the sides, tend to be more interested in that. That tends to be really important to them. Okay. So, our fantasy explorer. Our fantasy explorer is Alice in Wonderland, okay, who will go right down the rabbit hole. After anything, she will drink anything she comes across, right? Totally psyched to go wherever she goes, right? She might kind of complain about it a little bit, but, you know. Our realism explorer is going to be Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock, who is always after the real truth, the actual events, right? None of this fiffy fantasy foofery, none of that. Our realism builder is going to be Samwise Gamgee, who, after the greatest adventure of all time, just really wanted to go home and garden. That's really all he wanted to do, was go home. And then our fantasy builder is going to be Tony Stark, who is happy to make everything in the Stark Tower that doesn't exist. That's really his main focus of invention, all of the non-existing things. So, what do these people want to play? So these are our 4 archetypes. And again, I'm giving you a guide, right? I think you get that, but just to be totally clear, these are guides to understanding these people. People who have scores in these quadrants tend to identify with these characters. That's the idea. So what do they play? What do they play? What does Alice in Wonderland play? Well, she plays Skyrim. That's what she does, right? And I gotta tell you, if you're going to play Skyrim as Alice in Wonderland, you don't get to fight very much, okay? What you have to do is get off the roads. You have to fill up the map. You have to go for the Found 500 Things achievement. Okay? Explore the world. Sherlock Holmes is a big fan of Phoenix Wright. Objection! He is on to the truth. Realism explorer. This is also a way of indicating that exploration does not necessarily only mean going over the hill. It can be exploring an idea. It can be investigation, right? Those things. Sam is a big fan of Anno, not the 2070 version, right? The historical version, right? Where you're constructing a real colony, and the more realistic it is, the better, right? That's what Sam likes to play. And then Tony Stark likes to, play StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2, only single player, however. Only single player, because multiplayer is a completely different experience. The fantasy builder in the StarCraft experience is, I sit on my base, and I collect all the and I build all the way through the whole tech tree, and then I explore that area. But it's the same kind of map, right? I'm really not going anywhere. I'm building. I'm not exploring. That's what StarCraft attracts those kinds of players. A couple of more examples just to give you an idea that not everything goes on the top. If we were just to talk about pure fantasy games, but with exploration and building in it, Minecraft is a great example of that. For the exploration side, realism is going to be Madden, right? Realism is a game that both Sherlock and Sam can agree on. Okay, so.